I never gave my 9/11 story. I have written about it a few times. I have commented on it on Facebook, but I've never actually sat down and said the whole thing on video. And since I am daily vlogging and everything, I just figured I might as well do it on 9/11 because this is the day where I guess it all I'm not gonna be able to do this video. I was living in Astoria. I'm from Astoria, Queens, and I was working for Accenture, which is a consulting company, and my current client was JP Morgan, I think. And I was stationed in Brooklyn, but I called in sick because I just didn't feel like going. I just didn't like my job, so I called in sick that day. And I was living in the basement of my house, and my grandmother came running. Put on the news, put on the news. And it was like 8 something, and I was like, what are you talking about? Like, what? I'm sleeping. I took the day off. Put on the news, the Twin Towers, a plane, there's a plane. And I turned the news on, and I was seeing it, and I was seeing it, but I couldn't register it. Like, I was seeing the building on fire, but I couldn't understand, you know. And they were like, well, we don't know what happened, and a plane like flew into the building. Like, we don't understand what happened, and we're really concerned, and we're trying to figure it out. Everyone had no idea what was going on. And so me and her, we just sat down and we started watching the news. And then a couple minutes later, I remembered that my father worked at the Twin Towers. And so I kept trying to call my father, and I was like, I couldn't get a hold of him. All the lines were busy. I'm sorry. And so I called my mother. And she was at work. I said, my father, oh my God, my father. And then the second plane hit. And then everyone realized it was a terrorist. And it wasn't an accident. So she came home. She came straight home. She came straight home. And on her way home, she threw up on the N train because she was so sick. I mean, we were all so sick. And Bill, we weren't married at the time. He was also working for Accenture. And he was stationed in Chicago. But his entire team, who he had worked with on his last project, was at the Twin Towers. And they died. And he knew that. So he was supposed to be there, but he got stationed somewhere else, and he went to Chicago instead. And obviously nobody was flying. Nobody wanted to fly. I mean, people, I guess, did end up flying, but I called him. I got a hold of him, and then he said, I'm going to drive back. I'm going to drive from Chicago to New York. I'm going to come home. So a bunch of the people that went to that client rented a car and drive to New York. And the whole time now it's me, my mother, and my grandmother, we're waiting for my father. And they're divorced, but they both live in Astoria. So we're watching the news. We're waiting to find my father. My fiance is trying to get back to New York. And then they collapse, right? And you're seeing people, because the news doesn't know what to do either. And they're just showing people jumping out of the windows. because nobody knows what to do. They're like, oh my god, they're jumping, and you're watching this because you don't know what else to do. And I'm watching it, they're filming it. Everybody is shocked beyond belief. And I don't know how long it took. I remember it being hours. My mother says it's less. But my father finally knocks on the door, and he had to walk from the Twin Towers to Astoria. So he had to walk over the 59th Street Bridge. He had to walk a lot. That is a long walk. Soot, head to toe, covered in soot. And we just cried. We were sobbing. I mean, sobbing uncontrollably. And then a couple of days, everything paused in work. Obviously, nobody could work. And my client ended at J.P. Morgan, and then I got transferred to Merrill Lynch, which was like 5 World Trade Center. I don't even know. It was one of those down there. And obviously, the World Trade Center stop was no longer in existence, so I used to have to get off at City Hall, and I used to have to walk an extra stop to get to where I had to go to work, and I did that for 9 months. So I had to walk through that.
No, you read it. No, you read it.
For a really long time. And it broke me. People were posting missing photos, and they were posting flowers, like they were leaving flowers everywhere, and then you would see union guys getting together and like, you know, like rallying the people, like, okay guys, another day, like we're gonna do this is for New York. And then you would see shops just giving free food. I mean, every day I would lose myself. Every day I would get a free paper on Hoyt Avenue. They would give me the free AM paper. I would read it until like 49th Street, and then I would have nothing to do from 49th Street until City Hall, and I would cry. I would cry on the train until 49th Street until City Hall, because I knew that I would then have to get off and walk through hell to get to my job. And then I quit. Because I wasn't strong enough to do it another day. I said, I can't, I'm losing my mind. I can't come here anymore. And I know other people can, and I know apparently they're all these people here and they're Sioux, they're all stronger than me. I can't see this again. But I did it for a while. I did it for like 8 months, I think. I did it for about 8 months. And they completely understood. And I ended up becoming like a computer teacher at a Catholic school. Because I was like, what am I going to do now? I just lost my job. And I don't want to be in the city anymore. What can I do in Queens that has to do with computers? Because I was a business consultant. I did like front-end design. And so I taught computers. And that was awesome. I was around kids. It was easy. It was so easy. Nothing like my job. But every year around this time, it's like I just get